Good evening, guys. Eyes to see here talking about prescription opioids failing rigorous new test for chronic pain. This article was written on March 6th by the Associated Press. Here we go, guys. Chicago, a year-long study offers rigorous new evidence against using prescription opioids for chronic pain. In patients with stubborn backaches or hip or knee arthritis, opioids work no better than the over-the-counter drugs or other non-opioids at reducing problems with walking or sleeping. And they provided slightly less pain relief. This is unbelievable, guys, but I'm glad this study's being done. Opioids tested included generic Vicodin, oxycodone, or fentanyl patches, although few patients needed the most potent opioids. I know for myself, I've had all three of these prescribed to me for various reasons. Anyway, non-opioids included generic Tylenol, ibuprofen, and prescription pills for nerve or muscle pain. The study randomly assigned patients to take opioids or other painkillers. That's the gold standard designed for research. If they don't work better than less risky drugs, there's no reason to use opioids given their really nasty side effects. Death and addiction, said lead author Dr. Erin Krebs, a physician and researcher with the Minneapolis Veterans Affairs healthcare system. The results likely will surprise many people, quote, because opioids have this reputation as being really powerful painkillers, and that is not what we found, unquote, Krebs said. The results echo less rigorous studies and bolster guidelines against routine use of opioids for chronic pain. This study was published Tuesday in the Journal of American Medical Association. About 42,000 drug overdose deaths in the U.S. in 2016 involved opioids. Guys, this is unbelievable, including prescription painkillers, heroin, and fentanyl. Many people get hooked while taking opioids prescribed for injuries or other short-term pain and move on to cheaper, more accessible illicit drugs like heroin. That's because, guys, doctors cut you off after a period of time and they don't help you wean off of these drugs most of the time. I'm not going to say all doctors do this, but the plan is definitely not in place to wean people off correctly. And what happens? They end up going on the street and getting heroin because it's cheaper. This is unreal. A report released Tuesday by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found emergency rooms saw a big jump in overdoses from opioids last year. Opioid overdoses increased 30% late last summer compared to the same 3-month period in 2016. The biggest jumps were in the Midwest and in the cities, but increases occurred nationwide. Yeah, this is a nationwide epidemic, guys. The report did not break down overdoses by type of opioid, like it really matters. U.S. government guidelines in 2016 said opioids are not the preferred treatment for chronic pain, and they recommend non-drug treatment or non-opioid painkillers instead. Opioids should only be used if other methods don't work for chronic pain, the guidelines recommend. Prescribing rates have declined slightly in recent years, although they are still much higher than 2 decades ago. So, meanwhile, there's an increase in overdoses, there's an increase in deaths. Meanwhile, doctors are prescribing less and less from years ago. How does that work? Here we go. Krebs said the strongest evidence from other studies shows that physical therapy, exercise, or rehabilitation therapy works best for chronic pain. And she noted that there are a variety of non-opioid drugs to try if one type doesn't work. The study involved 234 patients from the Minneapolis area, VA clinics who were assigned to use generic versions of opioids or non-opioids for a year. Follow-up ended in 2016. So, this is a very important study, said Dr. David Rubin, geriatrics chief at UCLA's medical school. It will likely change the approach to managing long-term back, hip, and knee pain. Yes, he noted one limitation. Most study participants were men, but Krebs said the results in women studied were similar. Of course they were. The study's opioid patients started on relatively low daily doses of morphine, oxycodone, or generic Vicodin. They switched to higher doses if needed, or long-acting opioids or fentanyl patches. The non-opioid group started on acetaminophen, ibuprofen, or similar anti-inflammatory drugs. They also could switch to higher doses or prescription non-opioid pain pills. Few in either group used the strongest medicines. That's good to hear. Patients reported changes in function or pain on questionnaires. Function scores improved in each group by about 2 points on an 11-point scale, where higher scores meant worse function. Both groups started out with average pain and function scores about 5.5 points. Pain intensity dropped about 2 points in the non-opioid group and slightly less in the opioid patients. Other research has shown that over-the-counter medicines can also work as opioids at treating short-term pain, including from broken bones, kidney stones, or dental work. Written by Lindsay Tanner and Mike Stobe. So, guys, the point is that, thank God they're doing these tests. Most people, maybe not most people, a lot of people who are suffering don't need the level of opioid strength drugs to treat their ailments. I'm speaking from experience. Guys, what I really would like to do is I want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories. Let's get the word out there. Let's let people know what's going on. Everyone knows someone who's either OD'd or unfortunately died, family members you love, or you yourself. If you have a story, please email me. I'd like to put the word out there and just bring as much attention to this issue as much as possible. And YouTube is a platform for doing that. Okay, guys, God bless and be safe.